Woohoo! Hi, Mark.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. Quite
Excellent.
excited.
Yeah,
Excited.
yeah. It's going to be a bit different from being in like reams and reams of code. So I'm interested to see how this one's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to apologise up front. I'm getting over a nasty cold, and apologies for last week and the fact that we had to cancel and sort of move it to this week. I am still getting over my lurgy, so I may cough a bit throughout this. I will try and keep it to a minimum. But yeah,
Boo.
I know
It's
it
the
sucks.
cost of having children. Well,
Yeah,
one child.
little.
Wait till you have two.
Oh
You'd be
god,
in a world of pain.
two petri dishes
Uh,
rather than one.
so today is excellent because we have been supported this month and most of next month actually by TestIM. So I don't know how many of you know about TestIM. I know about it from quite a few years ago, but I never actually really played with it in anger. So I'm actually quite excited to play with it because it's come up in our courses that me and Mark run a few times. So I'm curious to see what we can do with it.
Yeah, like you say, I've heard people mention it on the course, and it gets sort of written down when we're doing our sort of icebreaker sessions in the training. So yeah, I'm curious to see about this as well. Definitely because I one of my trigger words is AI, so I'm very interested to see what all this AI fuss is about. And yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Well, one of my trigger words is codeless. So there was a moment at a conference many years ago where codeless really got me. But like again, I understand why people use these terms. But in short, should just be making it easier for people to do UI automation. And yes, some of the AI aspects that we're told that TestIM offers is around smart locators that makes it easier to keep your UI checks up to date. So I'm curious what we can get going. Just wanted to have a quick look through this just to see, what TestIM are saying they can and can't do. So I know we're not going to look at this today, but I know they're currently experimenting with being able to export and record code or write as code even, which is quite interesting. But we're not going to play around with that today. What we're going to look at today is being able to record a scenario and then play that back and be able to explore some of the perks, and benefits
Some
that
of the
come from using some of the perks.
some of the perks.
um, so yeah, I think it's best thing to do is just crack on and have a little play with it. So I've already created an account, but I've just created a trial account. And as you'll see in a second, me and Mark have got quite lucky because you see here our free trial has 1 day left. So we were meant to do this last week, as mentioned, but Mark was sick. So my first thing is I've just signed up with GitHub. I found that easy. I prefer to keep a lot of my tool stuff tied to a GitHub account if I can. My first bit of feedback is I have no idea why it wants my phone number.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it, but it would be good if we could be told why. That would be excellent. But nonetheless, let's get rid of that. So before we dig into recording something, we are going to use the tool that me and Mark, mostly Mark, have created, which is RESTful Booker Platform. It's a completely open source tool. Mark, do you want to give a quick explanation of RESTful Booker Platform?
Yeah, so it's basically a SaaS or software as a service application that we designed primarily for our automation and testing training. But actually, it was important to me that we'd have like a publicly hosted version of this so that people who've been to our training can continue practicing after they've been on, but also so other people have the opportunity to practice test automation against it, and also trying out tools like we're doing right now. And there's all sorts of interesting bits and pieces. So, like if you click book this room, I challenge people to try and do what Richard just did there. I wrote this, and it took me 3 hours to get that to work. So if you can do it in less than 3 hours, you win my respect. So I don't have any prizes.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm using it locally. So I've actually downloaded it from GitHub. So you can go to Mark's GitHub account and you can just pull this down and build it locally. Or if you don't want to do that, there is a permanently hosted online version where you can just log on. The slight difference with this one is the data gets reset every 10 minutes, I believe.
I think it's every 10 minutes, yes.
Yeah. So if you create a room and try and do stuff with it, it will get deleted after 10 minutes.
I should
But
know
anyway.
that, given that I've just made some changes to the deployment process, but I've already forgotten what arguments I sent through.
Nice. So let's get going with it. So I'm having a quick look around. I can see there's a few things down here like automate. That sounds pretty much like something I want to do. The editor, capture, test runs is probably, imagine what that is, some settings and some users. But I'm going to go ahead and just click create test. And I want to be genuinely open with all of you. I have never done this. I literally don't know what's going to happen with this tool.
Yeah, same for me as well. Like, yeah, here for the journey. So,
well, even better. There we go. So I need to download an extension first before I can get started, which kind of makes sense. Because if it's going to be hooking into some of my browser, then I guess it needs to be able to do that.
So I guess that gets run as you're on the page, and it's kind of snooping the DOM, so to speak.
Yeah. So I've noticed that that's cropped up here now. Oh, it says login to start. Where's that going to take me? Let's see if that. I end up back here again. But I am now logged in.
With a broken image avatar.
Capture screenshot looks interesting.
This little broken image avatar here.
It might be because I'm using GitHub, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go back. Let's create test. See what we get now. Okay, loading. I'm not going to enter my phone number. Do I have to enter my phone number? I keep getting stuck here.
I think it's because you used the one where you weren't logged. That was the one that you logged in before you logged.
Okay.
Chrome extension. Yeah. Cool.
Right. So let's get recording. Oh, okay. So it's going to walk me through, and then I can add actions such as validations, hover, custom actions. Showtime. Record your test. Interesting. You can click save. Automate. You can find your save tests over here. Check out your test runs. Nice. CLI. Ooh, snazzy. Don't think we'll try that today, but that's good to know. It's one of the things we always say, isn't it? Like, no matter what tool you use, the goal is always to have it on some sort of CI/CD.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of the challenges if you're using sort of codeless tools is to make that integrate quite cleanly. So yeah, it'd be worth having a quick look at that.
Yeah, I'm not happy about this. This should be a picture of a burrito or something.
Oh god,
but that's cool. Nice tutorial.
Yeah, I'm off.
You're off.
Yeah, I'm off.
What about the burrito?
Terrible puns.
All right, start a test. Enter the app URL of your app.
Oh, so can you do localhost?
About to find out.
Let's find
out. It just opens it. We are now recording your test. Start when you are ready. When you finish, go back to the editor.
So shall we try admin login to begin with?
Admin login.
Yeah, I think
I'm already logged in. Damn. Oh, and I can't log out anymore because you broke it.
Yes.
Oh, right. I think we should start this again with me logged out.
I forgot about that.
Okay, so how do I stop this? So I'm gonna have to delete all these. How do I delete all these things?
Little bin icon on the right hand side.
On the right hand side. Oh yeah.
Oh, I saw it for one of them. I don't. Oh, nice.
There we go. I delete that one as well. Good start. Good start. Oh, I can't get rid of that one. Oh, because that's the opening the page.
Yeah.
So yes, Mark's accidentally broken logout. So I'm just going to go in and take advantage of one of the early videos we did where we explored DevTools and just delete the token.
All the videos come back to DevTools in the end.
Okay.
Okay. Let's try that again.
Right. So we're now recording. So yeah, we have like a Hello World, which is the little admin panel down here, and it's a very, very secure website with admin password.
Yep.
All right, that's it. Logged in.
Cool.
Back here. So let's see what we've done. So apparently I'm scrolling, and I'm using the mouse wheel. Interesting. Click in admin panel. Click username. Type the username. How do I get rid of that? And then I'm tabbing. Because I tabbed. Interesting. And I tabbed into password and set the password. So that's interesting that it's gone ahead and not clicked. I would feel like I'd want it to click on the username just in case I ever broke my tab order. But at the same time, it recorded what I did, which is what it said it would do.
I wonder what would happen. Like, do you have to explicitly say click something before sending a keys?
Well, I was thinking that. What happens if we... So let's play it back as it is, just to make sure it works before we go in and start tweaking with it. So I'm looking like that looks like play. TestIM is setting up this page for testing. Please hang tight. Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't seem to be. Yeah, it's not refreshing.
It's typed admin in there.
So why is the state being saved across? Because essentially that's what's happened is that because it's not done like a sandboxed instance. It's
I wonder if it's because of this one.
Yeah.
It's more because I've got it open, maybe. Yeah, I wonder if it's because I've got it open in this tab. Yeah, test failed. I know it's because I closed it. I'm sorry. Let's see what happens now. But it was interesting that it wrote admin in a different field.
Yeah, but
okay, that's better.
Yeah. So I guess there's obviously something going on behind the scenes that's sort of saying which things to click on.
Yeah, I don't think it's like in my tab. I've not moved on from where I was.
I wonder if your 1Password thing is interfering with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. So you clicked away.
Yeah, so how do I disable 1Password for a while?
I think it's manage extensions, and then you just have to go in there and disable it. Yeah, you go.
Okay, right. So let's just run it once more. Interesting.
But I suspect this is going to take us to a logged in page. Yeah. So every time this runs, it's not necessarily creating a sandboxed version. It's actually creating something it's creating a window which is got like the same profile or the same session as the rest of the browser.
Yeah.
Which means that we'd have to do something to say delete the cookie at the start. Is there anything around managing cookies that we could do?
Let's have a look. So we're meant to be able to add our own actions. So I think it's still running. So let's stop it from running. Run locally step by step. Run on a grid. I'm not going to run it. Run in incognito mode.
Yeah, that'd be handy.
That will help us. Let's try that. RBP login.
Oh, shout out for the description. I liked that.
What was that? I missed that.
So there was like save to give it a name and then a description about what it's for. So actually giving the opportunity to put some intent into the check to say what it is that you want to do.
Okay. So when I clicked on... Oh, look, you can add a message every time you save it as well.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Oh, here it is. Description. Exploring TestIM. Hang on. Ensuring a user can log in with the correct username and password. All right, save again. Don't want to add a version, but I like that feature too, actually. Right, so I've set it to incognito, and what it did is it brought up the Chrome extension as well and made me approve it for incognito, which obviously is Chrome's little security there, which is good. So now let's see what happens. Bit of resizing going on. Aha!
Yeah.
Success. Test completed. Thank you.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Oh, I get a little green as well, which is nice. A little clear
nice.
indicator of where's going on. So yeah, I'm a bit curious like you. Let's get rid of the scroll page. And let's get rid of the mouse wheel. And let's get rid of the tab. And let's see if we can add a click on the username. Well, I'm not going to be able to, am I? Actually, I wonder what it does. Will it think it will open a new window?
Yeah, record action here.
Now it's taking me to not incognito mode though. So how do I just get the one action I want?
Let's go back.
Okay, so it's done it, but it's done all of them.
Yeah.
Basically did everything I did.
So it's gone right back to the start.
So you kind of need to get your app into the place that you want it to be in before you can do that. So then I need to delete this again, delete that again.
Yeah.
Actually, I wonder if I could just go. Oh, it's too late now. Okay. So now I've got click, fail, click. Oh, I've got to get rid of that. Okay, so that's as clean as I think it can be.
Yeah, it's looking a bit more
so
succinct.
Let's give that a save. Deleted scrolling and tabbing. And let's give that a go. Yeah, still happy with that.
Nice. It was a bit quicker as well, because it wasn't doing all of those other additional actions.
All right, well, we jumped around a bit there. I think there's a few interesting things to explore. So I think obviously I can just drag these around, which is, again, this is the codeless side of it, I assume, being able to visually have things and do that kind of stuff.
It's pretty impressive. Like, we pretty much got a running test within
that's a really good point, actually.
5 minutes of for 10 minutes max logging in and getting everything set up. So that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, and we have a rule ourselves that if we can't get a test up and running in 15 minutes, then we're going to struggle there. So yeah, I'm curious to see what kind of things we have. So like, what does this button do? This little TV view screenshot. Oh, interesting. Oh, visual validation. Oh, I'll just look at that in a second.
Baseline, nice.
Come back to that. That's interesting. Yeah, here we go. So, element must be visible. Interesting. When this step fails, mark error and stop. Mark error and continue. Well, that's kind of interesting. Always run this step. Element text custom never. I wonder what they mean. What does element mean? To choose element open base URL. Not sure what that means. Any idea what that means? When to run step?
I'm going to assume it's some sort of conditional to say run this if the element text equals admin panel.
Yeah. Choose an element open base, run test to read to relevant step. I believe that as it is. But yeah, let's have a look at the locator. So let's have a look at what it's done, because it's one of the things it says is it uses as many things as it can to still help you find the element. So we can see here, like, it's found it by text, which is quite happy with. It's given us a nice indicator, which score of 0.9, assuming that's out of 1. What does that do? The minimum confidence level required to consider this element as found. Interesting.
Ah, okay.
So you can set a threshold. So if you wanted it to just use a specific locator,
Yeah.
but if you wanted it to try and make its own way, that's
Which is
interesting.
probably why that form field got filled in, because it went through these different locators and to the point
Yeah.
where, because the threshold was really low, it was just like find the first input box on the page and
Yeah.
filled that in.
And you can start to see where it's trying to be clever, like it's looking at all the different parents
Body.
and
It's just a
the
thing.
lowest.
It's
Yeah.
just a thing.
Interesting. So I imagine you can turn some of these things off if you wanted to.
Yeah. I'm not so sure what the parents mean. Like, is that
Well, I think
parent
it's
elements? Text
yeah,
muted,
that's
P.
the parent element
Okay.
because the text muted is the one that's above. So I think it's using its own logic is to work out the different ways it could find it. So I
Hmm.
wonder if I turn these off. So if I turn them off, now it's going to try and find it using the other knowledge it has, I assume.
Yeah, let's see what happens. And this was for clicking admin, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, clicking the admin button.
Yeah.
So something moved to pass.
That looks like it's kind of sticking a bit.
Oh, it's still there. I see.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe you can't turn off all the children.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of makes sense, right? Because now it doesn't really know. It doesn't know what it's trying to find anymore.
No, no. So the idea, I suppose, then, because if you've got all of those parents enabled, you're quite rigid in your selector, aren't you? Because you're
Yeah.
basically creating a massive long CSS selector, whereas it probably what you're more likely to do is, yes, so to turn something like that off. Yeah.
I like how it brings the tick ones to the top. That's a nice bit of UX right there.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I gotta say, it does
Okay, so
it does look great from this. Like, it's nice and
it does
clean,
actually. It's
clear.
very quick as well. Oh, so that left the window open. That's okay.
Did you save the admin panel
I don't
selector?
know. Let's stop it and make sure. So view locators. Yeah, so I've turned all the parents off. These are still turned on.
Hmm. But then it's saying 0% now. Hmm.
So I did save it. Can you just play this step only?
Doesn't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, well, that's just a screenshot, isn't it?
all right. Yeah. Oh yeah, the failed screenshot as well, which is we'll look at that in a sec. Yeah, I'm guessing I've confused it somehow. I wonder if it perhaps still needs app parent. I don't really know. What does highlight do? To choose, open the base URL and run to the relevant step. So if I say highlight, oh no.
Oh, oh, it's because you're calling me rather than me calling you. But we can just do.
No.
Yeah. It's all right. I don't think I'm going to be doing much interacting anyway.
Ooh. We should explain that actually. You explain that while I see if this is happy.
Yeah. So one of the challenges of doing this stream is that we're both based in different places, so we're running off our two different laptops, and trying to stream from two different locations into one stream is beyond my pay grade in terms of trying to work out at this time. So we use Together as a tool to do not just screen sharing, but actually we can control each other's screens. So until that message came up, I could actually take control with my mouse and type stuff, and it would type stuff on Richard's machine. And that's what we've been using for all the streams, since the first one actually. But this is the first time we've done it the other way around, where we're watching you do a stream rather than you watch me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to get too bogged down on that because I don't understand it, and I'd rather play on, as in I know it works. There's no real reason for me to start unticking those locators, right? If the locators are happy, there's no need for me to start unclicking them. I am curious.
Did you enable them again?
So I did. What I actually did was I said I wanted to refind it. So what a nice thing it offered me was to reassign. So he wants me to open the website, but what you do is you click reassign, and this is a really nice way of being able to update your tests. I assume I can just click on it, and now it brought all these back in again.
Yeah.
So I wonder what improve does. Oh, so I'm guessing if it's happy. I wonder what, I'm not sure what improve. Oh, reassign probably moves it to a new element, whereas improve probably relooks to see if it can find anything interesting to use.
Yeah, I wonder if reassign overwrites everything, whereas improve sort of looks at the DOM and brings in new elements or new attributes, but keeps the rest.
And the highlighting's working nicely now.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
So what I want to try is try and trick it. I know I've tricked it by turning the buttons off, but if one of the benefits of this tool is that its locators are able to improve, we can see here now that we've got quite a few ways that it's trying to find the target element. And I think that's why it failed before. When I turned these off, I no longer had a target element.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm not sure what index actually is. Probably the number. But let's put a breakpoint in and maybe edit the text and maybe the link and see if it can still recover, maybe?
Yeah, let's give it a crack.
I don't know how you put a breakpoint in, but let's toggle breakpoint. So probably,
it's like a
probably
pause.
here, I assume. And then do you have to run it with breakpoint? Maybe just run it and see what happens. All right, the test has reached its breakpoint.
Cool.
Play from here. So if we go back to this and let's play around with this link. So we've decided to call it admin now. And I'm going to break the whole test anyway by changing. No, let's just call it admin.
Yeah, so because I think it's doing text first, then it's doing href second, and then index.
And then let's play. Sitting there.
Is it still doing the thing with the pause?
Yeah, it's playing. No, it's. I don't think so. How do I make it? Oh, hang on.
You got a lot
How
of
many
windows.
have I got open? I think it's using this one. Perhaps. How do you carry it on? Oh, play maybe. Oh, there you go. Breakpoint.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
The test reached the breakpoint. Perhaps you just turn it off, maybe. Did it finish? Where is it at?
It's there. Oh yeah, because you're still in breakpoint mode. Just because that's where the breakpoint is, you're just you need to just.
Duh.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try that again. So toggle breakpoint, and I don't think I want play from here. I think this play from here is if you would. Yeah, Mark's just dying.
It's all right. I'll try and do it quietly.
Yeah, so hang on, let's try that again. Now that I know what buttons to use. Right, so I've reached my breakpoint. It's stuck waiting here, and then I can just click play. And I didn't edit it this time, though, did I? So
No,
that's
but it did work the last time. So try another one, and this time try let's try really fooling it so that it's got a different URL and different
and
HTML
a
text.
different text.
Yeah.
So we inspect, get admin panel. So let's change it to admin and change the URL. Come on, Richard, you've never used a computer before. Why is it doing that? Typed in some word. Oh, it's back again. Cool. And then carry on.
Ooh.
Oh, obviously now I broke it though, but it clicked it. Obviously it's gone to a dead link.
Yeah,
But you can see it clicked it.
Yeah.
Nice. So it was able to carry on past some of the things it had saved and carry on running the scenario.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
And I think that's interesting. Like, I know a lot of the other tools you kind of hard coded to a few. There is some tools out there that obviously will go past it. They will try a few things before they fail, but most of these are custom libraries that people have built on top of other tools. So I think it's a nice thing to have, especially for this kind of framing. You know, the codeless approach. Like the more you can help with this stuff, right? Because we all hate locators.
Yeah.
So having it try 2 or 3 things, and then obviously having some sort of calculation for which one for deciding if it thinks it's right or not.
Yeah, so it's just sticking it in a bucket and then picking and choosing from those ones for
Yeah.
you.
And obviously with my testing hat on, like I want to be really malicious. So I wonder what happens if I delete the element. Right. And I know you're not going to really do that. And I would kind of feel like I want it to fail. I'm not sure what do you think is going to happen?
I think it'll fail. I think it'll say it can't find the element because you're basically updating DOM to have it not there.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's filtered down. So there's an element here as well is you do need to be careful because so it didn't fail. Did it fail? No, it didn't fail. Yeah, because we've set the it's almost like a fuzziness, isn't it? We've set the fuzziness so high that it's tried to click something else, which has resulted in us clicking the admin. So there is a certain finesse to this, which isn't just a case of you can go, oh, okay, then just record a bunch of stuff that you're doing and bosh, you've got everything you need. You need to actually be able to set. So, for example, like maybe if we uncheck index and run it again.
But have you noticed it's gone down to 2%?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it knows it didn't really get what it wanted. And I'm wondering if there's obviously things we could add here, like assertions and there's lots of stuff to
Get
explore
cookies.
there in a second.
Oh, add API actions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at that in a minute. Yeah, I wonder. Like you said, it's like a fuzziness that probably just needs a bit of refining.
Mm.
And obviously, if we were having more time, we could work that out. But if I run that again, I wonder if that 2% goes up.
Yeah, I think it'd probably go back up.
I run it without doing any abuse to the system.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's interesting. So I wonder if there's a way of adding like a threshold, like if it doesn't So I wonder if like
Well, that's
when
what
this
that's.
step
So
fails.
if you go back to view locators, open that up, and then was it the target icon? That one, yeah. So this would be your threshold.
Ah, of
So
course.
these would be your ratings. So only use stuff that's like 3 stars and above or something like that. So if
So
we
you
could,
reckon now if I do what we did before and delete the element?
yeah.
Ah, this bloody website, Mark.
Just can't get the staff these days, can you? So if you're going to delete it, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not got anywhere yet. Oh, it thinks it's got somewhere. No, it's just fighting me with scrolling.
No, I want to go down here. So what's the script saying? So it's so it's sort of sitting
So it's
there.
still trying.
I wonder if
Yeah, it
this,
failed.
yeah.
Element score is too low. That's cool.
So it's a different type of failure of not just
Yeah.
completely unable to, but there's
So
there's something, but not enough.
yeah, I found something, but I'm not entirely convinced it's the thing you're
Yeah.
after. Okay,
I
that
wonder if you
makes a lot more sense.
I wonder if you can set the timeouts to be a little bit less, because that's quite a lot of
Well, I'm
time.
guessing that's in here somewhere. Um, Interesting. No, it's not going to be in there. Oh, I wonder if it's in the setup. I wonder if it's here. No.
Or what's the configuration? Maybe if you click
How
the
does it say
pencil on
that?
it, bottom right. There you go.
Ah, I am willing to wait no more than 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Step delay. Ah, resolution as well. Good. That's nice. The best.
The best.
Okay. So I think there's a few things we should observe here. Like you said, we've managed to get up and running pretty quickly. Breakpointing and debugging was actually pretty quick as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels very
And
smooth. Like a lot of this feels
yeah,
quite smooth, and there's not a massive amount of resistance in the whole sort of editing process.
and in that short space, obviously, we've discovered things that you would expect to see, like things that we know from using other tools, like changing the timeouts and being a, that now that we understand this weight, this makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool. So, like this disable auto scroll, there's lots of things that you expect that are interesting.
Hmm.
So, incoming parameters, the element score was too low. Um, and this is interesting as well. It's like suggesting you get some help.
Hmm.
Little things like that for someone who a codeless tool is designed, is built, not designed for, but the target audience. If you want to get up and running quickly, right, you want it to be saying, "Here's help, here's this, here's that."
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a bit more time on your hands, you're happy to have a little bit of a dig around. Um, so yeah, I think that's interesting, and I can see it. I know we're playing around with different things, right? But if we were filling in a big form and you added in another, another couple of fields into that form, unless you were being very good with your locators, which there's so many resources out there, right? That clearly people don't know how to use locators.
Yeah.
A lot of people do, obviously, but not the vast majority. I would say struggle with them because they're simply because their applications aren't designed for it.
Yeah. And I'd be curious to see some of that sort of that selector sort of the selector bucket, and then that fuzziness with it, with something in my mind, like Salesforce is popping into my head because it's like a real challenge to do stuff with that, and I wonder how this would manage with that, especially with the sort of dynamic IDs and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, I'm just running it again. I just want it to be happy within the IDE.
So can we try another test real quick before we move on to the other features
Yeah.
and see how it does the drag and drop? See if it can do the drag and drop.
So we want to record a new test. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing I go here and I go create new. And we'll call this, I can't call it a name yet because I have to do something first. Yeah, I would like to name it before I start. Can I do that somewhere? There, yeah. Drag and drop booking. Record. Localhost. Remember my decision for this project. So that must be keep that URL for everything.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good. We'll do that. I'll have a bit of that. Right, we are now recording your test. So I want to book this room. Of course, I've made it harder to click next. Drag on there. I want to say that Mark is staying, and no one ever gets Mark's name right, so we'll call him Mark's name.
Oh, so close.
Oh! TestIM.com, and we'll make up a phone number, and we'll book. Booking successful. Close. End scenario. Right, we've got a lot there. Should we simply try and run it back? It's going to fail if we run it back, isn't it? So we need to. I think we should be nice to it because we can't.
Yeah, well, and delete the booking.
We should go and delete that booking otherwise. So this is obviously system knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you try and do the booking again, it'll fail because it'll be like there's too many. There's already a booking there. But that's something that's interesting. Like when I saw that API stuff earlier, immediately like my mind's thinking, oh, well then I can make an API call to delete all bookings before running this test, and doing that headlessly, doing all my data setup headlessly rather than trying to do that all through the UI. Because I think one thing that it might encourage people to do is that anti-pattern of trying to drive everything through the UI when you can actually sort of do other aspects of it on lower levels. And the fact that that they've put those sort of API features in there, I think the folks at TestIM appreciate that sort of nuance as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, this dragged element. I'm curious how that goes by. But yeah, you've set it up at the start of the call, right? So we've got to see.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Drag and drop, nightmare of UI.
Yeah. That's why I knew I wanted in.
Look at that!
Oh!
Oh!
Colour me impressed.
Oh, wow. Not messing about.
That was impressive. Oh, that's
for a dragon. That was quick as well.
Yeah, that was.
Like,
That was impressive for like that's blown my 3 hours out of the water. Why did I spend my time doing that?
So it's interesting. I wonder what. Like, obviously, I can see here that it's picking up that we've moved to a lot of different elements, and I'm not entirely really wanting to work that out.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do is book different dates. So I can't remember what we booked, but I wonder if we do this reassign and actually I want to try that slightly differently. I wonder if it feels like it will take me to the step that I want to reassign.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I go reassign and they click that instead, because this is a real cool feature, like taking you to the step that you want to alter.
Yeah.
That again, it's just making it friendlier. Right, so I don't want that date anymore. I want this date now.
Cool.
And then
can you just stop it?
So what did I change it to? The 16th to the 18th.
Yeah.
Test failed.
Step failed time 2,864 minutes.
Where did it say that? I missed that.
I think that looked weird.
So I changed it to the week after, right? So the first booking's still there. Okay, I've reached the breakpoint. Carry on. Okay, so I don't think I saved it, did I?
No.
Yeah, now it can't do it. Oh, yeah, interesting that it's struggling now because there's something already there.
Yeah, the element's there, isn't it?
Interesting. But anyway, that's our dodgy website. Well, it's not dodgy. It's
How dare you?
the thing we've done. I really want to try it, so I want to reassign. So I want to do that.
Relevant. Yeah. It said something like 2 million minutes when you shut it down. I think it was basically just added the highest integer.
Okay, so I want this bit instead.
Yeah.
So how do I now tell it that I'm happy?
Do you just continue on? So rather than stop, just keep going.
But now my dragging's broken the website. So that's I think it's a dodgy case, like, because it's going to carry on now.
What if you drag and...
There you go. Now it's done its best guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit... That's not necessarily the clearest thing.
It's more that there's probably something in here that I just wanted to change the dates. And again, it's a dodgy example, right? We've managed to actually do a drag and drop, which is pretty damn good. But like in terms of being able to say, actually, don't book that date, but this date.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff isn't really, it's not locator based, but it is.
Well, it's just not very clear of like what state you're in and how do you get it to say, okay, confirm this change. Now move on.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do though is I really want to run that again because I'm so impressed with the drag and drop. I just want to see it flow through because it's quick as well. That's the thing. Oh no, no. I want to see. Look at that! Look at that!
Yeah, it's good.
I'm so happy about that. Okay, so you asked me to do that. I can't remember why.
I was just curious to see what it'd be like with drag and drop. That tends to be my kind of yardstick for UI stuff, especially if you're doing it in the browser.
Cool. All right, so let's just have a little more explore around. So I'm just going to save that. So there was a few interesting things here, wasn't there? So record an action here. All right, so yeah, let's actually finish some validations. That would be useful too, because we've got an assertless test right now, haven't we?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, apart from the ones that are kind of, I think there's some sort of implied assertions that are put in as well.
Yeah, but let's add an assertion here. Maybe validate element text. Let's see what we get here, because we've got our 6 moment. Yeah, did I delete the booking? I think I did.
Yes. No.
Damn you, Richard.
I like the fact that you keep logging in each time to do
it. Well, no, I delete the room. Oh, now I've broken everything.
No, that's right.
No, I didn't. I deleted the booking.
Yeah. It's just the fact that you keep closing that window every time, even though you know you're going to have to delete it again later.
Good shout. Right. Appreciate the friendly advice there,
Sort it out.
Good pairing.
Yeah. Stop wasting my time.
Right, so where was I? We were here. Okay, so it uses the same logic, which is cool. It sets a breakpoint. Validate element text. And we end up here. You reach your breakpoint.
Go back to the editor.
So I've reached my breakpoint.
No, click plus now. Now try adding in your... And then...
I want this
one. So maybe that was what we were missing last time, is that you have to get to the breakpoint and then do your reassign.
I see what you're saying.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then we just continue.
I'm just going to do one more. I'm going to validate an API. That's good. I really like this API side.
Yeah.
I won't go doing that. I just want this bit here. Cool. And then you play on. Interesting. It didn't evaluate them that time. So if we run that now, we'll hopefully get passes. But what I want to see actually is what you can add to those validations. Like, can you write messages?
Expected value, booking successful.
So I wonder if let's just change that. I'm curious to see what kind of message we get. Actually, no. Let's be nice and actually let's see it work. And not be nice. Let's be consistent and actually see our assertions working. And I'm just curious to see what the output is from failures, because that's that's a big part of automation, isn't it? Like dealing with things that fail. Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth.
So if we try adding this and just changing some copy.
We're successful.
Successful.
Successful. Booking successful.
Your booking is successful.
It's full of Sues.
Oh,
I hint. This is why you need your teardown hook.
The importance of test data is what's being very visible here. Still getting over the drag and drop, I'm not going to lie. Oh, so we're sat there now. That's good. And we set our timeout to 2.5 seconds, didn't we?
Yeah, but this is a new test, so it may be...
Good point. So yeah, it's back to whatever the default was.
30 seconds, I think it was.
All right, we're going to have to sit this out, Mark, because...
What do we talk about if we don't talk about test automation tools?
I wonder if I can change it while it's running. So where did we find it again? It was...
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Failed.
So
Expected booking successful. Actual was booking successful.
Booking successful. Expected.
Successful. Yeah, nice. It's kind of your traditional. I'd love to be able to just maybe write a bit more here about why it's important, perhaps. Like it being this, like the fact that we got that intent at the start, an extra field here, just being able to say why I've done this assertion.
Yeah.
Could be a nice, interesting thing. Like I often put a few code comments in when I do stuff in code. I know people don't turn their noses up at code comments, but it would be good to know why we've done this. But then the description is there, so that description is actually my description, isn't it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Checking the user is nicely informed about a successful booking. I can't spell successful. All right, I take it all back. What I want is there.
Oh, before you run it again, go to setup.
Yeah.
And let's knock that timeout down. So the config. Yeah. Nice.
So I just want to have a quick look at what else assertions we have, because they're a big part of any framework.
Not visible.
So it looks like you can integrate with your CLI.
Custom validation looks interesting. Validate radio button. Validate API.
So what is this?
I think the validate viewport stuff looks interesting, but I suspect that's probably a paid for thing, some sort of visual validation sort of thing going on.
Where's that one?
So if you go back to the validation, scroll to the bottom, these ones that grayed out. Yeah, document pixels, view. Yeah, so I guess they're like paid for things.
Well, we're in a trial, so when we're in here a minute, I think it's because we've not set a baseline.
Let's try that.
So I think...
Click set as baseline image then. Just click it, see what happens. Bosh.
There we go, so it set it. And then maybe if we do...
So do an assertion.
Well, let's just run it and see what happens. Well, actually, let's do a few of them. So where's the actual drag one? Yeah, this one. Let's set that as a baseline. Last successful run. Oh, I did it. It's just not telling me about it. Expected. Let's give that a run. Oh, I deleted that.
No, you didn't. You clicked edit, but
Boo you, Mark.
that failed a hell of a lot quicker.
Yeah, it did.
Well, I was curious to see. I didn't say anything because I was going to see if it failed on the visual side of things. But I think you do need that. So maybe just after that drag, you'd put a visual assertion in there.
Well, I think it's already there as part of this drag. It's
Yeah.
checking it before it drags.
Hmm.
Well, let's find out. Because we can change, we can trick it, right? We can press next and get a different month.
Yeah.
Element score was too low. So we failed here this time.
Because it's probably looking on the basis of the. So it's trying to find the text.
This.
Yeah, I think if you go, if you go into the locators, yeah, 31. So if you click the,
It's set to very low.
yeah,
I changed this description, but surely that doesn't matter.
yeah, that seems a bit unusual,
Yeah, what if I
bit
done?
inconsistent.
Because if I turn off text, maybe.
Oh, actually,
Obviously.
yeah. So if you turn the text back on, just
Yeah.
this is not a way I would do it. But if you edit that so that it says Sue's full.
So like that. Was it?
Sue, isn't he? Yeah, update that.
Why do you want to do that? I'm curious.
Just so that we could get it so that it could actually show the failed message instead. So if we go back from out of the locators, expected value. Yeah, no, that won't work, will it?
No.
No, it won't work because that's actually made it worse, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Don't really know.
I'm wondering if it's because that's the highest. Like, I want to see what happens if I turn that off. I want to see if it. Oh, no, I didn't delete the booking.
Quick! Yes.
Okay, now it failed.
So this is maybe where some of that sort of AI stuff is like at play here, that might make things a bit sort of undeterministic.
Yeah, a little bit in a way. It's interesting that.
But your description didn't update the failure message.
No, it didn't, but you can see it here. But it doesn't really work when they're long. It kind of does, but doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm curious to see a visual validation fail. So, what we could do with this is, what if we went and changed the description and branding, and see if we can get it to fail. So if I change this to Richard,
The description is just Richard.
I don't think it'll let me do that, will it? I will.
Yeah, it should do. Should be right.
So for people not used to it, that updates this. So obviously now it says Richard and not the description. So I would expect that to fail. Obviously, Richard needs to remember to delete his booking.
For this Mark Winteringham chap, whoever he may be. Yeah, so I guess it's a case of.
I think it's going to fail afterwards. Interesting.
So if you go
Oh,
to
is it because I didn't add an assertion yet, though, have I?
yeah, I'm wondering if you have to explicitly call it out, but then you still can't select it.
Yeah, it's showing me them. Yeah, perhaps I don't have the right account to
Hmm.
do that on. Oh well, if I did, I had assumed that would fail, because it's different to my baseline.
Yep. I just want to call out the fact that we've just hit 404 views on Twitch,
For
and that makes me happy.
yeah, okay. Let's not get bogged down on that because I think that's a little shiny feature on what we've got. So I want to fix the scenario, just to make that happy again. And there's a concept of grouping that I'm aware of, and I want to see how that works.
Yeah, because I think that at the moment there was something that was occurring to me was, yeah, add group. There you were. Yeah, is that it would be nice to sort of, if we applied something like sacred to this, so we could say this part is managing the state, this is the actions, this is where our codified oracles are. That'd be very useful.
And it grouped them all up now.
So can you click in that? Is that
Shared group. This is a shared step. Side effects. Okay. Yeah.
oh, so you can drop your groups in to multiple tests.
Yep.
Oh, that is both cool and terrifying. I could see that getting so messy so quickly. But if managed correctly, I think that'd be quite nice. So basically, those groups are your helper functions, aren't they?
They're exactly that. They're what would I used to call them? Yeah, helpers. Yeah, you're
Hmm.
exactly right. So yeah, like combination of lots of common steps that you would want to do: log in,
Yeah.
drag in and drop in, assertions.
I could see lots of groups for API calls that I'd want to do.
Ooh, what are these parameters all about? Expression not set.
Ooh.
So can you pass parameters into this? So if I go into here, don't stop showing me that. I don't want to see that. So I don't know if we have anything useful. Yeah, so I need to go. Let me add. Can I add a step from a previous group?
Add extract values. Oh no, that's just taking something from.
Can I just drag it
Reviews.
onto that? If I go like that. Ah, look at that. Snazzy. So can I set mark to a parameter? That's what I want to do. Set mark to first name. How did I end
Text.
up in there?
Text to assign. Maybe create the parameter first and then see if maybe it appears.
So how do you create parameters?
So if you go up, back up one, then yep, and then params JS.
It wants me to choose JS for some reason.
So
Call it first name.
yeah, and
And then inside here,
yeah,
I can go in and change that
yeah.
to here, change that to use the param instead of mark.
So maybe text to assign, change that to first name.
I wonder if there's a symbol needed though to. How do you know it? How does it know it's a parameter?
Mm. This is one of those things where you should read the manual.
Let's just try. I'm all about the trying. So what do we think is going to happen? I reckon it's going to write first name, and then we'll read the manual and find out.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty likely. Actually, I
And
think
I
what's
did
going to happen is that you haven't deleted the booking and it's going to fail. Got there in time.
I don't think I did. I think it updated, but it hasn't. it's too late for it's trying to drag. Ooh, tell you what, it is actually fun playing with new tools. Oh, expression. Evaluating
Richard
expression.
is not defined. Do you have to do something like var Richard? Or like var? Yeah, so yeah, maybe an actual expression has to go in there. So Richard is not defined is basically saying that that's like a variable not set error in JavaScript. So you do something like var Richard equal or var first name equals Richard in a string. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're probably getting a bit in a rabbit hole here because that's also taken us away from kind of the codeless side of things.
It is, yeah. Let's just leave that.
I don't think that does what I want, but basically we're going to run out of time anyway. But I was just trying to work out if I could change the parameters set into that group, which I assumed what that is.
Yeah.
So
it's okay. First name Winteringham can have a booking.
So here you can see it. You can see things that use that parameter.
So if you had a bunch of different tests.
Yeah. Let's condition parameters. Perfect. Docs are always important. Let's see what these docs are like. HTML parameters versus parameters available like view special video testing.
So you want pass to a group. So you do some, oh yeah. Oh, so create your login group, add 2 params, JS, username. Oh, it's because
so
you didn't put in strings. Yeah.
What?
And then
cancel that.
So change that. Yeah. So just ditch the. Yeah. Cool. And then go back to the docs. Go back to the docs because I don't think.
Docs.
Yeah. See what it says. So set username.
Username. We called it username, so it's just the word.
Oh, so
username.
it is just first name. So that should So go back and give it a crack. See if it works.
Yep. Didn't do the booking, did it? No. Save it. We changed it to Richard, right?
Yep. Snazzy.
Hey!
Very nice.
That is good. I'm surprised about the strings, I've got to admit it, but the fact you can do that is useful. But then it's the world of JavaScript, right?
Yeah, well, I guess the first name, that's the variable that you're going to assign everything to. And then, so it's first name equals Richard, whereas before we were doing first name equals variable Richard, which is why it didn't like that.
And this is brilliant. Like if you delete a variable and you can see who's using it.
Yeah.
Like this needs to go away. Yeah, you can see who's using that variable. I think that's pretty cool.
So we've hit the just over the 1 hour mark. Is there anything else you want to have a quick peep at before we wrap up?
Yeah, I wanted to basically run a couple of tests together if we could. So I think both our tests are happy now, right?
Yep.
So what I wanted to do was to put them into a plan if we can.
Create
so I think I need to go into a suite actually. Let's create a suite. RBP tests. Oh, there we go. Add those 2 tests. And then I want to Edit the suite. So yeah, I think a suite is a way of grouping them because it's not letting me run them. So I think a suite is to group your tests up, and I reckon a plan comprising a list of tests and the environments to run them on.
Oh, I see. So this is where you can like get your suite to run across grids or something like that.
Where to run them on the testing grid. Interesting. Test to run. Add before all test list or suites. What was the name of my suite?
RBP.
Loading. How do I run it? Test plan was updated. No. Perhaps that's not what I think it is either then. So I've got a plan. Now I need to find a way to execute my plan, right? Runs. Here we go. Suite runs. I thought I had a suite.
Yeah, but I think that's the output, isn't it? So it's not been triggered yet. That's just the output.
Right, I see. So where do I get back to them? Where are they? In here. So I've got a suite that has 2 tests in it, but I can't run that suite. Like if I wanted to run, okay, that takes me into it. That makes sense. I've got plans. I've not got share. I've got one shared step, and then I've got a plan, which doesn't seem to. This just takes me here. Oh, yeah. That's good. You can override the URL. That's nice. I don't think I have access to the testing grid. I wonder if that's why it's not letting me.
Yeah. See how to connect TestIM to your CI. So maybe you need some sort of. So now that you've got a suite, you have like a hook that you get your CI to run to trigger things in TestIM, and then it. Oh,
yeah, you can't.
Oh, scheduled runs. Scheduled runs. Let's schedule.
Oh, but this is just scheduling them to run.
But we could schedule one for now. See what happens. Although.
Run now.
But set the time.
Test list.
Then...
Select days.
And then do.
What time is it? 21.
Can you only do it hourly? Because we've just gone. Oh, unless we wait 9 minutes for 2200 GMT.
I can't even get down there. It won't scroll.
Will it not scroll?
No.
Oh, bugger. Oh.
I could use the arrow keys.
When in doubt.
Nightly run, monitor. Adjust. Run on the grid. Create. I am definitely not a robot. Run now.
Well, that's what you called it.
I called it. Shut up, Mark. Okay, well, there's another thing that's been interesting me. What's this? Welcome to Capture. You haven't captured any bugs yet. Let's see how easy it is to get started. Capture from your browser. How to use Capture. Navigate to the bug location and open the TestIM extension. All right, there's plenty of bugs on this website, so.
How dare you?
Capture video and bug.
You'll get an automated test too.
Share. Interesting. What's it doing? It's like using whereby or something. Stop sharing. So what happened then? Where did my video go?
I don't know.
I'm still going.
Oh.
I'm still going. There we go.
We're so used to
Ah.
thinking the bottom right-hand corner is going to be,
Run it.
yeah,
Add some text. Ooh.
yeah. So used to bottom right-hand corner being intercom that everyone just ignores what's in the bottom right-hand corner.
And then you can push it
Oh,
to
nice.
places. So it's basically just a nice little add-on, isn't it, to record a bug?
Yeah, it's quite funky.
And then you can.
So
Yeah.
then I guess,
okay.
and then it records it as an automated test, so you could arguably run it again later to confirm whether or not the bug's been fixed or not. So it's like
Maybe.
automated steps to reproduce.
Yeah.
Although only if you do it via UI.
Yeah. Anyway, they're still nice little features, aren't they? I don't want to delete that anymore. And I want to say back, this was good, by the way. These docs,
Yeah.
like we don't give enough praise to docs. Like we did find out what we wanted pretty quickly.
Yep, and that was nice and clear as well. Good steps, good steps stuff. Nice little screenshots. So I always like stuff like that.
Get rid of that. So we've got runs. So we don't. Yeah. So our run.
Our scheduled run is yet to run.
And we're not entirely sure if it will run.
Still got 6 minutes.
Because there's like a report inside that this is kind of what I'm interested in. Because like obviously a big part of this, right, is seeing the results.
Yeah.
And I know we don't have time to set it all up on a CI now, but I'm curious to see what this kind of looks like.
Yeah. I wonder if you can actually set up the CI stuff so that you get yourself a nice hook that you can call. No.
Yeah, I think you can also set it up to run locally. Actually, I think you can set up your local grid. I don't know how to go about doing that. Like this manage grids. So that's the TestIM grid. What if I add another grid? We've got a Source Labs account. I have to tell everyone my Source Labs key. Tell you what if I remember right, you can't see my screen now, can you, Mark? Haha.
No.
Loser. Let's
1, 2, 3. Oh, it's terrible.
So I can't even remember what my login is, and it's asking me to log in. So yeah, first attempt failed. Yeah, never mind that. That's not going to work. But anyway, that's good, interesting to know that you can use, obviously, crowd-provided grids. And I could use my own grid if I had Selenium downloaded, which I currently don't. And I don't really have time to create a grid.
No.
But like the fact that you can then obviously run it on your own grids is important. Because like again, TestIM isn't about, it's not trying to be a cloud provider, is it? It's literally a tool to automate. What are these? User examples. Oh, interesting. API. So these. Oh look, we've found loads of docs. I have no idea how I found them.
Well, what if you click at the top left-hand corner there where it says TestIM usage examples? So I think you get that for free.
We could have just run all their examples.
Ah, bugger.
Right, while we wait for that 10 o'clock run, let's have a quick look down here. So we've done groups, we've done validations, we've done parameters, data-driven testing. We haven't done that. No. Let's have a look at this. So what's happening here? So set text and navigate to a URL. So I'm guessing if it's data-driven, it's probably this that's being data-driven.
Yep. So text to assign username. So I wonder in the setup if there's something in setup that says pull in a file or something. It does. Test data. There you go.
Oh,
So,
JavaScript.
oh, you love it.
I hate it. Oh, you can upload JavaScript. Blah.
Even better. Which feels like an excellent opportunity for me to plug my new awesome course. So if you're not like Richard and actually interested in JavaScript and want to actually learn a language of the future, then you should check out my new course that I've created, which is an introduction to JavaScript. Basically, it's designed for testers, gives you all of the fundamentals of JavaScript, how it works, all of the basic features and syntax. But not only are you taught how to do those things, we work throughout the course, we work together to actually build a testing tool. So by the end of it, you'll know how to use JavaScript, or know all of its like fundamentals, but you'll also have a cool little testing tool that you can use in your day-to-day testing. So you should definitely check that out.
Snazzy. While we're at it, we might as well, while we're waiting for the
Yeah.
tour to finish. Like I said, these we call these AiTOnline, which is automation and testing online, and that's a namespace me and Mark prefer to talk about automation. So for some reason I've lost the favicon, which is sad. Hope that comes back. Perhaps it's been taken away. Ooh, work that out. But we basically explain what AIT is. We've got some principles that we adhere to, and there's several talks that you can watch on YouTube explaining them. We have lots of online. We have lots of online courses, and we also have lots of face-to-face courses that we offer. Most recently, or most prevalently, is our 3-day course that we call Automation and Testing. Mm-hmm. And we have a few instances of that coming up. We'll be doing that at Test Bash Brighton, which is at the end of March. And I think there's about 12, 14 tickets left.
And then we're going to the States. Woohoo!
We are going to be at Test Bash Detroit for the first time we've ever ran AIT in the States.
Very excited
so
about
yeah,
that.
Looking forward to that. But you can find all the upcoming ones on here. We try and keep that as up to date as often as we can. And finally, I wanted to show you our awesome supporters. So these companies are helping me and Mark push and share all our automation and testing knowledge. So obviously right now, TestIM are supporting us, which is fantastic. So thank you to them. Source Labs have helped us in the past. Source Labs give us free account to run RESTful Booker tests against. Mm-hmm. Ministry of Testing help us by they sell our training. And AppyTools give us an account to do some visual validation stuff. And Postman keeps coming up in our training, so we use it to make sure we're on top of everything that Postman does.
And Danny gave me some snazzy socks, and Richard didn't get
And Mark got given some socks. But back to testing, because
it is past 10 o'clock.
I want to see what happened. So I need to go back to my company. And then we need to go back to our runs. A few seconds ago.
There we go.
It's running. Ooh, status. Play. What happens? I don't know. It doesn't do anything. Oh, it's currently playing. Oh, no, they failed. Oh, because it's trying to run against localhost.
Oh, no. All right, well, join us tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, where Richard will have fixed the tests.
Oh, yeah, that's an epic fail. Yeah, and I doubt I can. There's no easy way to rerun that either.
Rerun with the same
parameters. Base URL. So I wonder if I can change. Can you? That's just 2 minutes. We'll try one more thing. So I need to edit my suite or my test run, I guess.
I think it was your test run, yeah.
Let's see if it will work on automation and testing online. So it must have been in here. Oh no, broken it.
Too eager, pressing all the buttons.
I was pressing all the buttons. Really quickly press the buttons. Plans. Here we go. I did call it local.
So override start URL.
Override start URL. Can't type. Too excited. And then back to here. Back in here. Can I rerun that? Oh, it runs it locally. Okay. All right. Well, c'est la vie. I think we should recap. That's going to fail because I booked it.
Yep.
Did that stay local or did it go to?
No, I think that stayed local.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was like just a little over an hour. But I think there was some really interesting things that we discovered in there.
Well, I've got to say, I think it's broken down a few personal biases around codeless, for sure. Like, it's been very impressed with it. Like the look and feel of it. It seems very straightforward to use. It's quite clean. That drag and drop was super cool. Very impressive.
I would say the same. I think the UX is nice. It's quick. Obviously, being able to do stuff like this, just dragging and moving things around. The grouping thing obviously is really nice. And I think the parameters make a prime example of that. I don't know if there is, and obviously it's time to look around. It would be nice to see a big list of parameters somewhere if you can. Like, if you wanted to change them outside of going into individual tests, that would be cool.
Yep.
Yeah, the drag and drop, gotta love that. Being able to put things into suites and plans, again, it makes a lot of sense. You might not always want to run all your scenarios or all your suites. So being able to make individual plans, and I'm assuming you can configure your CI to run different plans.
Yeah.
But we'd have to play with that another time.
The API stuff would have been cool to look at, but not enough time.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're advocating for, they're offering those sort of features means that you can actually, not everything has to be run through the UI. You can actually.
Oh,
very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, you
So
can actually. Use API calls to set your data up. That'd be very cool.
It would be nice to play with that again, actually, and potentially create a room using the API and then go in and delete it.
Yeah.
This makes
me want to work on Wirebridge more, because you could actually have all of your data setup abstracted into an API, and then just have this tool call that API, so that you don't have to have lots and lots of complexity within a tool like this around all of the API calls. You could just be like, call this endpoint, and it will do the job.
Fortunately, it doesn't look like I can call that now to actually get a general response, but yeah, no, that would be nice to play with. Definitely, the little capture thing again. It's just a nice addition. If you're surrounded by that tool all the time, it makes sense to be logging your bugs via that tool.
Yep.
And I think again the plus point, like going back to the codeless and the locators of this, to have all that stuff captured automatically and then be able to have the control of playing around with with the locators. So again, if we were using this tool in Anger and this was our tool of choice, you could start to really understand this a lot more.
Yeah.
But the fact all this is just captured and utilized to make your scenario stay consistent, it's a real plus.
Yeah. But then you have to temper it with the fact that if you're too liberal with your locators, then you may end up in situations where if your element isn't there, it starts doing weird stuff with your site. So you might end up in the situation where you get a failure much further down the line, but that step is not what has failed. Something failed earlier on, but it failed silently by sort of going, I can't find that element, but I found another one that's close to it in terms of matching. So it starts messing around with that. I think you'd have to be very keen on that, especially when clicking links and stuff like that. Otherwise, you'll end up on different pages.
And again, we didn't get a chance to play with this. I think we needed really to get our own grid to be able to run much more quicker on demand, or if TestIM could add us a button that just says run now. Or there might be a way. I just couldn't find it if there was. But I imagine this will get nice over time as well, and being able to see a lot of your actual pass and fails, especially because if you're on CI and the CI tools are good, but being able to just specifically drill down into the UI side of it,
Yeah, love a bit of high
could be a
charts.
lot of value here. Awesome. All right then. Well, huge thanks to TestIM for giving us the opportunity and encouraging us to check out your tool. Really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you very
And
much.
I agree with Mark. It's given me more, appreciation and insight for, the other things that are out there. And the more options people have to automate the things that should be automated, the better.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool. So I think
Go on, Mark.
I was going to say I think we're going to be back maybe next Thursday to make up for lost time for last week.
Yeah, so we'll be back next Thursday. I'm not sure what we're going to be exploring yet, but probably head back to maybe some something open source and well, not open source, but something code based perhaps.
Yeah.
And we'll try and alternate these between different tools and different libraries, as we don't just want to be looking at tools as a whole. We're also going to look at maybe some libraries, Chrome extensions, anything that makes automating easier. We want to be exploring the tools that are out there, and there's so many. And like me and Mark enjoy this format. It's easy for it's not easy for us. It's a nightmare, but it's quick for us, isn't it, to be both just on and having a tinker and a play. And if we had used the right use engine the right way around, we could have been pairing a bit better.
Yep. Cool. Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, we'll see everyone later at some point.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
And speak to you all soon. Bye.
See you later, everyone. Bye.